Okay, so this is weapons video 2. Next, let's talk about how you throw a shuriken. Now, basically, the whole thing with shuriken is in ancient days, there wasn't a cure for tetanus. So they would take iron shuriken and they would take these metal shuriken and they would just leave them in water and they would rust. And because there was no cure for tetanus, these rusted blades, when they would strike their opponents, would cut them and would cause them to get tetanus. And that was their way of primarily using that as an assassination tool. Now, modern days would use probably poison to put on their shuriken if they wanted to have them be deadly. Generally speaking, shuriken are not a killing weapon, or not a very efficient killing weapon. They're primarily used for distraction. Depending on what type of clothing or gear the person trying to kill you is wearing, shuriken can cause quite a bit of damage. But of course, without poison, it's kind of like blow darts. Blow darts are hard to kill someone with. They might take out an eye or whatever. They might like puncture a leg, but unless they had poison on them, they're like less likely to be a killing weapon. So because I'm talking about martial arts and not strictly self-defense, once you move into weapons territory, you're talking about a sort of physical retaliation that typically results in some kind of physical damage, versus self-defense could be a jiu-jitsu hold that just causes somebody to get knocked out or taken down. Martial arts ventures into the territory that police officers and military use for killing. So next, you're looking at two different types of stars: the light kind and the thick kind. Now, you throw each of these differently. The light kind, you would hold in your palm like this. Your foot stance is going to be, let's see if I can get it out here. Your foot stance is going to be more like down here and down here, and you're going to kind of sway on your foot like this. And as you're swaying, as you move forward, this is going to give it more power and speed. And you're going to throw it on an angle like this. So as you do it, you release. Do it, release. This also allows you to do it in different directions, because you're swaying. You can throw it as the person's moving, or if they try to move to the side, you can still attack. So you'll have a whole stack of these, probably not way more than 2, like maybe 10 or whatever, maybe 5 or 6. And these are for long range. And I have thrown these, and they travel across like an entire yard or two. They'll travel when you throw these things, they glide like crazy. It's like throwing a frisbee. You can really throw them far. So you buy the nicer ones, because these are just primarily for practice. You set up maybe cardboard boxes, nail them to trees, find a place that you can do that out in a forest or whatever, and you train and you run around and you just strike until you can hit them effectively. Now, next, you're going to move into the territory. Okay, so say you're throwing these stars and the person just keeps coming at you. It's most of the time people will be like, oh, I'm throwing something whizzed past my head. Maybe I should hide, or maybe I shouldn't move. But if they're really determined to take you out, they might just keep coming. Now, that's what these things are for. These are the deeper, the heavier throwing stars. Now, these things don't glide. I mean, you try to glide them, they're not going to glide far, maybe 5 feet. Maybe 6 feet. They're not going to be going 30 feet. They're not going to be going 40 feet. So basically, these things are for deep penetration. Now, how you throw a star like this is you have it in your hand, and you have your foot up like this. You're in a half moon stance, and you're just sort of standing there, and then you kind of stomp your foot. So you go wham, and you go boom, and throw. Okay? So you're here, boom, and throw. And so it deeply penetrates into the person, and usually you throw it at the person's face or at their solar plexus, and it will spin and it will penetrate. So it's basically you wait until they're fairly close to you, you throw it, and then of course you could follow it up with martial arts of any kind you want, um, or throw it and run out, roll out of the way, and then you're going to be picking up a blade of some kind. So we're moving into the more deadly realm territory. So I'm to whip out my favorite weapon so far, and this is one that you can carry wherever you go. That's what makes it useful. I mean, it's hard to carry a sword wherever you go. You're going into a restaurant, you've got a sword. It's like, everyone can see you have a sword, and like even if you have a really good way of concealing a sword, like in a cane or something, it's still like not that good of a sword if it goes in a cane typically. And people will probably be like asking questions like, "What is that?" It draws undue attention to yourself, and the whole thing is you don't want to draw undue attention to yourself. This gear is all for the Order of Thorns, and so this is practicing, and it incorporates Asian and European fighting styles. And it's all about dueling and more medieval Renaissance type attire. And this buckler is to protect my shoulder and protect my forearm. So when I'm fighting, that it will protect that. Of course, I have gloves on, face mask, things like that to protect other parts of myself. But definitely it's smart to invest in armor. But you're looking at $450 for a full suit of armor, and even this was up in that range when you start buying individual pieces of armor, metal studs and things. Of course, you can learn how to make it yourself, but if you're not craftsy or you don't have a reason to, I would definitely say armor might be your #1 purchase, because as you start to learn martial arts, it's like might be going up against people with guns, and in that case, you would want to wear like Kevlar, because that will prevent the armor-piercing round. I mean, it will prevent a lot of firearms from attacking you. And of course, there's other things that are better. And if they hit you in the face, it's pretty much over if you don't have some sort of face mask on. But if you're going into dangerous territory and it's going to be sketch, or it's like even if you're going out at night and you're in a sketch area, you might want to wear some sort of head protection as well. And people might be like, "Oh, this is overkill." Well, once you've had a gun and knife pulled on you, it's kind of like, well, now you know that there's a threat out there. Until you've actually had a close call, you think, oh, you're safe, we're in America, everything's fine. But then, go look up, I don't want to freak people out, but go look at your sex offender list. Go look at your, how many people are put away in your particular city for assault. There's a lot of things like that out there, and, you never know. It could be a family, it could be a friend member, it could be a neighbor. You just do not know when somebody just will attack you, and especially if you're a minority of any kind. And so, like, you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and just realize that, yeah, the police are there, but their response time could be 5 to 10 minutes, and by then, you could be bleeding out. So you need to protect yourself and your family, so that the likelihood of that happening is decreased substantially. So next, moving on to weapons. Now, if you're attacked, they have a weapon, they have a knife, they have a gun, or whatever. You disarm that. They're coming at you, and they have lethal intent. It might be a good situation to have some kind of knife that isn't visible. Now, this right here is basically, it's like, typically when I'm not wearing this particular shirt, but most of the shirts I wear, I'll be walking along like this, and of course I won't have this armor on. I'll be wearing average attire, and then I will move like that. And so say somebody's like, oh, put your hands on your head or whatever. So you put your hands on your head, and then they come over and it's like, give me your wallet. So you reach in to give them your wallet. You give them your wallet. You're handing it to them, and then you take them out. So it's like, the thing about martial arts is sometimes it's about deception. This thing is called a tanto. It is a Japanese weapon. This is made by Cold Steel. It's a very awesome sword company. They have all kinds of weapons, but a tanto is a Japanese blade. It's shorter than the Iaido that I was showing you, But this is nice because it's concealable, it's practical, you can carry it anywhere. It has a nice clip, so it goes on the inside of your pants. So unless I showed you this, then pretty much nobody would know about it, unless the people who are living with you and see you take off your pants or whatever would see it there. And you want to keep things like that hidden, secret. Like, obviously, I'm letting you guys know because I care more about you being safe than people knowing about that I have a knife. But it's not just like a knife. This is a deadly weapon. See? So that is not going to feel very good if it goes into somebody's body. You know, it goes in that deep. So, you know, if you pull up my shirt, you can see that that would be like a lethal blow. You know, it goes like halfway through a person or more, especially depending on where you strike. And it's really extremely sharp too because it's been sharpened. So the thing is when you know martial arts, this is something I haven't been good at because I am so excited about the martial arts. Being an instructor kind of puts you out there. Now, typically, once you start to get martial arts training, don't let anyone know. No one. It draws unnecessary attention to yourself, and I found that it only creates conflict with other people who feel like they're warriors or know martial arts themselves because they want to, like, try your assault. You know, it's like, is you really as good as he says he is, kind of thing. One time I was just drinking at a friend's house with him and just relaxing, having a nice dinner, whatever, and his dad, who was a black belt, and I said, oh, I know martial arts, and he just went and grabbed me and tried to like put me in this pin, and I just grabbed him, and I could have pinned him because I reversed it, but I'm just like, and then he's like, oh yeah, da da da, and I'm like, yeah, there's always things to know, but of course he didn't pin me, and I let him off because I'm just like, he's the person I'm dating, Dad, I don't want to like retaliate, and of course you have to judge situations, and that was a good thing. What else happened? Yeah, so basically I ran into situations where I was glad that I was carrying this, and other situations where I regretted not carrying it. A few times I was up in the wild. And of course I have a survival knife. It's a different one in my car that I'll definitely show you guys. But that particular weapon it's great for anything to do with fighting off animals, building a shelter. It has a serrated blade. It's not really designed as a weapon to strike people with. It's more of a weapon designed to strike animals with. But this is versatile. You can use it for anything. You could use it for magical work because it has a black handle. You could use it for, you know, you could use it to chop vegetables. I've had to do that before. You can use it for anything. It's just nice to have a knife on you, especially as a man, you know, because you're expected to do those things like open boxes and, you know, like, you know, can you open this thing? Can you cut off that? You know, and next thing you know, it's like, hey, I need my knife, you know. So it's like, don't be in a situation where it's like, who has a knife on them? And all the guys are like, I don't have a knife. It's like, you want to have a knife, but of course you want to have like a pocket knife. So the whole point of having a concealed carry knife is not to let anyone know about it. Maybe let the people know about it who are closest to you in case they ever need it. Because, you know, say you were, you know, there are situations where it's like a hostage situation or somebody's going to be taken. And what if you get injured and they don't know you have a knife, and then like they could have run over to you and grabbed the knife and then ran into a bathroom and protected themselves and cut someone's hand and then got out of the window, that kind of thing. It's like you want to maybe let the people you know that you feel or that you can trust to know that you have a weapon. So yeah, that's a few weapons, some blades, some bludgeoning weapons, and some long-range weapons. Of course, you have other things too. I've trained in the blow dart gun quite a bit, and I find that that's an extremely efficient way. You just have to decide what mentality you're going to have with weapons. And in my next video, I'll talk about the different mentalities you can have with weapons, and kind of like my philosophy on the different ways that you can approach combat and creating your own ethical code to determine what type of warrior you want to be. So I'll talk to you soon.